Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's video. First Impressions Day. My first impressions of a Delta pen. It's an Italian pen. Not had one of these before, so it's going to be quite interesting to see how it goes. So the pen here, this is the Delta Dune. Join me now down on the table. We'll take a look at the pen, do some size comparisons, put some ink in it, do a writing sample, then I'll give you my first impressions of this pen. Welcome down to the table. Well, here we've got today's box. Nice black box, and on it we've got essentially black printing. So the first thing we've got is, I'm guessing it's the Delta logo, so it looks like a fountain pen nib, doesn't it? With an image reversed above it. We've got the word Delta here. That looks very computer-like type. Then below that, fine writing instruments, and then since 1982. The side here, we've got that logo and Delta again, and fine writing instruments. The back is blank. The other side, again, we've got the same thing. We've also got the barcode. Then the ends are just closed. Here we've got a slide out. So let's pull that out. And then we can take out the box. I'm just tipping it up like that. The box comes out. Not sure why. We've got a black piece of card in there. That goes back in. So we've got here like a leather look pen case. It's not leather, but it's got that nice cracked feel to it. Again, we've got the logo, Delta. This time we've got Italy and 1982. Just spinning the box around quickly. No other writing on there, but still looks quite nice. So the lid lifts off. Let's just gently take this off. In here, we've got what looks like a leaflet. So Delta. Let's take that off and have a look what we've got here. So this is some information about Delta. There we go. And what's on the other side? Again, I think it's the same thing, just multiple languages on here. That's a good idea. And that feels really thick, really cardboardy. Let me just pop this back together. I don't know, I'm struggling today. I'll do that later on. This then reveals on this nice cardboard bed the pen. Now, the pen is out of this wrapper. When I got it, it was in this wrapper. Why it's out of there is I like to clean my pens out with clean water before I use them. And then I like to leave them a couple of 3 days just to dry before I actually film these videos. So that's why it's out of the box. So let's tear that out and fetch in my pen rest. Just straighten that up. There we go. That looks a bit better. Time to take a walk through the body. This is the Delta Dune. That's the pen model. This particular pattern is called a reflex. And if we take a look at it, very attractive. So it's primarily grey, but then we've got blues in there. We've got some black. We've got some pale blues. We've got a little bit of chatoyancy coming through. Very pretty. Very unusual for me to get one with so much grey. I think it's going to be nice because, yes, there's a lot of blue in here, but because it's mainly grey, I could get away with virtually any ink, I think. Starting with the cap. So the cap, this top point reminds me a little bit of the Leonardo Memento Zero lines. It comes to a point and then comes down. The cap then is tapering out until it gets to the bottom of the clip, and that's where it seems to go straight. The clip itself, this looks like could be a silver or a gunmetal grey. It's hard to tell with my lights. Coming down, it comes down to an angle, then at the bottom we've got a ball. This is why I do my first impressions. It's actually a little wheel. I thought it was a ball initially. The bottom of the cap, we've got this silver ring going round, then it tapers down until it meets the body. There's no drop off. On the cap at the top, we've got Delta Italy, and then we've got Reflex, which I say is the pattern, and number 477. So that's the number of the pen. This isn't a limited edition, it's just a numbered pen. So as I said, From the cap, there is no drop off to the body. Very nice. Attention to detail makes a lot of difference, doesn't it? We've then got an ink window. This ink window is coloured blue. Not sure what I feel about that. I'll have to see how I go. I think I would have preferred that to be transparent. That's just me being very picky. Then we come down to the body. The body seems to be the same width till we get about halfway down. Then we taper down till we get to another silver coloured ring. And here at the end, this is for the piston. We've got a domed end, and I'm going to work this because there's no ink in it. So this is for the piston mechanism. So although it's hard to see, I can see the piston here. So parts of this body are actually transparent. So there's the bottom of the piston. Now as I close it, you can see it going up. Very attractive looking pen. Let's take the cap off. So it goes half, one, about one turn. That's not bad. Let's do that again. Half, one, no, just over, maybe 1 1/4 turns. That reveals the section. The section still carrying on with that material. It's a fairly straight one. There's a little bit of a kink near the bottom, and then we've got a flare right down here. Let's take a look at the nib. So the nib, it's an all black nib. Goes really well with the rest of the material. We've just got a straight line as the border. Then below the breather hole, we've got that Delta logo again. We've got the word Delta and then Italy. Just turn this round to the sides. There we go. A really nice, simple nib. Let's swap on over and do some size comparisons. I brought in the Pilot Metropolitan and the Lamy Safari, my two standard size comparisons. The Delta pen, slightly longer than both of them, maybe a couple of millimetres longer than the Safari though. Let's take the caps off. With the caps off, the Safari and the Delta, very similar in size. I would say this time though the Safari, again, just 1 or 2 millimetres longer than the Delta. And it's definitely longer than that Metropolitan. Width-wise, it looks slightly wider than both of the pens when we get down to here. The section, definitely wider. And we've got a number 6 nib on this pen. In the hand, it feels quite nice. I like the width here of this section. It feels very nice and comfortable. The length, not too bad. Does it post? Yes, it posts quite deeply, posts quite well. Does feel a little bit back heavy. But I'll be using this unposted because I think it's long enough. I hold my pens down here near the bottom, so I'm getting no problems there. If you hold your pens a bit further up, although there's the threads, I can hardly feel them with my fingers. Let's move this all out of the way, and then we'll pop some ink into the pen. Here's my trusty ink holder. Today's ink is by Diamine, and it's Night Shade. This is a standard ink. With it being a piston filler, I like to just use standard inks where possible. I don't like to put shimmer inks into piston fillers. Because this is the 12ml bottle, I'm going to put it into here. This is an ink miser. Just makes it easier for filling. So let's carefully put some ink into here. There we go. Let's pop that to one side. We'll fetch in the pen, take off the cap. Let's move that piston mechanism all the way down to the bottom. Seems to be loads of turns. There we go. Let's pop it in. And let's see if I can angle this slightly. Not that you can see much through the material. So working that. Hopefully that's drawing ink in. Doesn't seem to be though. Let's try it again. So we don't seem to be getting a lot of ink into here. One more time. So that's something I need to look at. Just clean off the section. So after cleaning it off, I'm not seeing any ink at all through the ink window. What I'm going to do is just at the top here, trying to hopefully get this so you can see. Just going to work again. So this should be pushing it down. Oh, we are getting a bit of ink out, but not a lot. It's nowhere near as much ink as I was expecting. Let me just try filling it one more time. Hopefully then I can get enough to do my writing sample, then I'll have a look at this later on. So I'll clean that nib off again. Let me just get this ink out of the way and I'll fetch in the notepad of testing. Just dropping in to interrupt your regular programming. Would you like to help support the channel? If so, please consider joining as a member. As a member, you'll get early access to my videos. I normally upload them a couple of days before they go out, and as soon as they're uploaded, they'll be released to members. There'll also be a shout out at the end of the videos, and then as we get the members coming in, we'll actually chat among ourselves and work out what other perks, what other things you'd like me to add in. You know, would you like maybe a monthly live chat just for members? All down to us. So please, if you can, consider joining the channel. A link will be in the description down below. Here we've got the notepad of testing. It's fetching that pen. So let's see, can we get it to write at least? So we've got here a Delta Dune with a broad nib. Price for this, 222 Aussie dollars. The ink is by Diamine. It's Night Shade. Drying times, so we got immediate, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute. Still really wet there. I'm going to do a 2-minute test. Still getting the teeniest tiny bit of a smudge there, even after 2 minutes. Really wet combo. Is there any line variation? So here's another pressure. Add in a bit of pressure. I don't press too hard, but I just like to do a little bit of pressure. And yep, seeing a wider line there. So no pressure with, none with, none with. This certainly isn't meant to be a flexible nib, and the difference is very minute. I would not recommend putting any pressure on any nib, to be honest, unless it's designed for it. Let's move the mic and write a sentence. I'll do my scribble test. This is nice to write with. It's got a lot of audible feedback. Hopefully you could hear that. It does feel slightly smooth when I'm writing with it, which is fine. That's not too bad. You know, I can feel it. There's a tactileness to it, which is one of the things I like in a pen. So what are my first impressions of this pen? It's a nice pen. Writes really well, as you can see. Looks very, very nice. I know it's a lot of grey. I quite like this. I think it looks quite attractive. It's not in your face, but there's a little bit of visual interest to it. I'm worried about how it feels. That piston mechanism doesn't seem to be working very well. What I will do is I'll see if I can unscrew the nib unit, and hopefully then I can be able to see what's happening inside. Worst case scenario, if I can unscrew the nib unit, I can always eyedropper the pen. That doesn't bother me. The ink window, as I said, yes, there's one there, but doesn't really show much. I'd like to see that a little bit wider, or I would like to see that a little bit wider, and ideally, to be honest, transparent. But then I think it would spoil in a way the whole look of the pen, but that's just me being extremely picky about this. I love the wide section. I love the length of the pen. Very nice fit in my hand. I like the nib. I like the fact that we've gone through with that black, so it all matches. Altogether, a really nice looking nib. The only thing which is putting me off, as I say, is that piston mechanism. And I just need to have a look, see what I can do. Worst case scenario, I'll contact Appleboom, but don't really want to do that if I can work around it. So they're my first impressions of the Delta Dune in Reflex and Diamine Night Shade. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. What are your thoughts on the Delta Dune? I love this Reflex colour. I love the colours, the greys and the blues that we've got in here. It means I'll be able to use loads of my inks and still have some kind of colour match. What are your thoughts on the Delta pen? Please drop your comments down below. Let's kickstart the conversation. Please hit the thumbs up button. Every time you like, every time you comment, it just helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.